Find product links below and hundreds more videos on my channel.
Hi guys, so there's been an issue with Canon cameras in recent years where the exposure simulation in live view in stills mode is too dark. So when you try and take a picture, your live view is really dark, but then the image itself is properly exposed. So if you expose using live view, if you set the exposure using live view, your image will be too bright. And if you set your exposure based on a meter or just based on what you know is the correct exposure, then your live view is too dark and it makes it really difficult to get focus or just set up your shot. So the issue actually comes from Canon lenses that, most Canon lenses that would have this sort of chip, so most new lenses, or all new lenses, and then most adapters, many adapters for other lenses have these chips. And this basically communicates with the camera. And if you use either a chip which has because these things tell the camera what aperture the lens is at and allow the camera to control it. So some of these chips allow the camera to change aperture even though it does nothing, but the camera thinks it's a different aperture and it'll show up on the screen. And some of these have a set aperture value, so they'll be set at usually at 1.4 from what I've seen, and some of them they don't give any aperture value to the camera at all. It just says 0, 0. But the problem is if you use a lens that, and let's say you use a Canon lens at f11, and then you take that off and you use a manual adapter that either has no value or that it has no chip at all, then the camera still thinks it's still using f11 for the exposure simulation because that was the last setting that it had. And the solution is to either put on a fast lens, so maybe put on whatever you have, the fastest you have that has one of these, connect that to the camera, set the aperture to its widest, and then take it off again. Then you can continue using your manual lenses in live view. Alternatively, you can just get one of these chips on eBay for £5 or so, and try and get the most recent ones. I don't know which one exactly, but there's various versions. Try and get the most recent one, or maybe find one that I'll put a link in the description what I think one would that would work properly. But basically, you keep this in your maybe in your lens pouch or something like that, or memory card pouch or anything. And basically touch this to the contacts of the camera. And of course you have to be really careful when you do that. Of course there's always a chance of doing some damage with doing things like this, but I did it and I didn't break anything. So you touch this to the contacts of the camera of the lens mount while there's no lens attached, and then you and by the way, you don't have to be in live view to do this, so you can have the mirror down just in regular mode, in whatever mode you want to be in, and then set the aperture. Either if you have one of these that has a variable aperture value, then set the aperture to its widest, or if you have one that just has a set aperture, then it will do it on its own. It will just jump to 1.4 or whatever that value is, and that's it. And that's your fix, and you're back to being able to use manual lenses again. And I found that once it's set to its maximum value, then when you step down the aperture, it actually does affect the image. So you can actually use lenses, you can use your manual lenses and step them down, and you'll actually get an accurate or fairly accurate live view exposure simulation, even when you step down. But the camera has to think that you're at the widest aperture setting that that you can get it to. 1.4 or 1.2. So, okay, I hope this was useful. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye!